is UK Cowboys TV, episode number 55 of season 1. It is myself, Mike Poland, the host, and this week we've got my two Scottish brothers with me. We've got Graham and we've got Paul. You guys all right?
Aye, not too bad, not too bad.
Yeah, and this week we've got two special guests. The first time we've had a double guest or guests on the show. We've got the lovely Meg and Kelsey. You'll know from DallasCowboys.com, and if you watch and listen to the podcast over at Blogging with the Boys, they've got their own show, Girls Talking Boys. How's that going? Yeah?
What?
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
We're happy to be here.
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
It's probably my fault talking too fast. I do apologize. But first things first, how are things with you guys over in the States at the moment with all the craziness? Everything all right?
We're quarantined together, which makes it a lot better.
Yeah.
And we're having fun with the podcast. So we have a lot of stuff going on, which keeps us busy.
It works out. Yeah, because literally, like Meg said, she's one of my best friends and we're quarantined together. And so we basically decided to take our conversations that we have regularly and just record them and blast them out to the world. Like, why not? So here we are. So yeah, it's been good. It's nice to have someone that you actually like, that you're like stuck with. So it works out.
Definitely. That's basically that you've done the exact same thing us lot did. Rather than just like Skyping each other, getting drunk and talking Cowboys, we thought, let's record it.
We do that too. We do that too still. Don't worry.
It comes up at all points.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not apple juice in there. It's actually white wine.
No.
So in terms of the Girls Talking Boys, who came up with that idea? You just came up with it between each other and just thought, right, let's go for it?
Yeah, obviously, as you guys mentioned, like I used to work a lot with DallasCowboys.com, and I've done a lot of radio shows in the past, and I still work in sports, but I do a lot of sports marketing as my main 9 to 5. And I've always just missed the radio shows. Like I had so much fun with it. And like I said, Meg's one of my best friends, and we've done she's a big sports fan. Again, we constantly are talking about Cowboys and then DFW sports in general. And so I had a friend over at Blogging the Boys, and I was kind of, I hopped on RJ's show, and we just started talking one day, and he was like, man, like that was great. That was fun. If you ever want to do that again, like let me know. And I was like, honestly, I would do it a lot if you want. And he's like, well, what if I gave you a show? And I said, yes. And obviously Meg is a natural, I was like, Meg makes the most sense. Like we, again, like I said a million times over, this is us having our conversations. Yeah. And so we thought we'd just bring it to the air. So Girls Talking Boys was born.
There you go.
And shout out to Hellman for the name.
Yeah.
So
he gets credit for the name.
My boy.
Yeah, but we maintain the IP rights. So
yeah, of course.
He gets nothing. But
just so we're clear.
Yeah, we've had RJ on this show, and we love RJ. He's always talking with us, and he's a big Aggies fan as well. So he's always talking.
I saw that.
Yeah. So we talk Aggies regularly. Do you both follow college? I think I've seen on your Twitter, Kelsey, you're a UT fan.
I personally,
she's a fan of a lot of teams.
I am.
Actually.
I used to live in Austin, so my short story. I moved around a lot in the States. So I grew up in Kansas, and I went to the University of Kansas. So Kansas Jayhawks basketball was like my thing. They don't have a good football team. And then I moved colleges and lived in Austin for a little bit. And UT is massive in Austin. It's
massive in Texas.
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah. And so I went to a ton of games, became a fan because of that. My family, they went to Ohio State, so I'll cheer for them occasionally. Like I don't have like super crazy affinities. And then of course Meg comes into my life, and Dave Hellman, and they're big LSU people.
Go Tigers!
And come on.
It was a good year.
I was going to say, how can you not cheer for that team after this year? I went to 2 games. It was epic.
Yeah, you went to your first one in Death Valley, and then you went to the national championship game. So, it's a pretty easy transition right there.
Yeah. So it's fun. I guess you can call me a bandwagoner, but whatever. My teams never lose. If you pick enough of them, you're always going to be in a winning position. Sue me. What do you want?
Awesome.
The running joke is who are you rooting for this week?
Literally.
Well, I mean, I'll probably get on with you more, Kelsey. But Meg, if you're an LSU fan, that's me and you instantly enemies now.
Hey, you got your one, okay?
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a funny story about the Aggies. So when I worked at Cowboys, they came up and played a game at AT&T Stadium, and I was working at the time in marketing for the team, and I was on the field. And again, like, I'm not from Texas. Like, I don't know anything about anything. And I was first like, where are the cheerleaders? Like, I don't know where they, like, that was my first thing. And then I see this. I'm a big animal lover, right? I won't tell you how many animals I have. That's unimportant. I have a lot. And so I'm on the field and I see this dog, and I was like, oh my God, there's a look at that cute dog. It's a little collie. I love it. Oh my God.
Did you try to touch it?
I tried to pet whatever the dog's name is, like Reverie.
Yeah, whatever he's calling it, I know.
And they were like, no, like, oh my God. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what? It's a dog.
I just like that if the dog barks that you get to leave class.
That's epic.
Yeah. I've been to Kyle Field and gone to the Midnight Scream as well. That's something quite odd.
Midnight Yell?
Yeah, Midnight, yeah. You're right, you go there to not watch a game. You do scream a lot, yeah. And it's weird because there's nobody there. You're like, what are we shouting at? I don't know.
I love it.
But I mean, obviously, you guys being in America and doing the work that you do, you've been to a few games. Is there anyone in specific, a team that you would say? We're talking more NFL with the Cowboys now. Is there anyone who you would say is a deep rival for you guys over there?
Like, in terms of fan base, or in terms of like
team?
In terms of everything, the Philadelphia Eagles.
The Eagles.
Goodbye.
Don't get me started on them.
So
they're the worst.
Meg has this
thank
saying.
you. They are scum.
Yes. So Meg has a saying that she started on Twitter a couple years ago.
I might have been a few beverages deep when I first tweeted it, but
That's
all caps every time.
I stand by it. Cowboys forever, Eagles for never.
And it's just like a words to live by kind of situation. Yeah. And we close out our podcast every single time with it. And it's just, I couldn't encapsulate my feelings about that franchise better.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny though, because
I've never once rooted for them a day in my life.
No.
Yeah. And I never will.
My family, my mom's side is from Philadelphia. So we talk about like teams that like you cheer for. Like my dad's side is from Ohio. So let me tell you this right now. Never have I ever cheered for that team. And it was really funny. Like when I started working for the Cowboys, and all of my grandparents were like, whoa. And I'm like, I'm sorry that I'm picking the elite organization to affiliate myself with. Like, I can't help it. And then of course they want a ring, which is annoying, but whatever.
I didn't root for them then either. So
why would you?
You just said the magic word. Well,
Scooter was like,
yeah.
Scooter Magruder said that he was rooting for them that game, and I was like, I'm sorry, no, I was rooting for the Patriots. I don't even care how many rings they get. They can't have one, but they got it.
Right. Like most people like to say, like in college sports, I'll talk about this because I went to Kansas, and I'll be like, oh well, like I'll take like the Big 12. I'll root for the Big 12, like the division team. No. That's not what happened in that Super Bowl for me at all.
The only thing I will say is we've had the Eagles play in Wembley, and I got a free hot dog out of an Eagles fan. He threw it at me, and I caught it.
I was gonna say, was it poisoned, or did he throw it at you?
He said something, and he threw it at me, and as I turned around, I was there, and I was like, "Woo!" I was like, "Oh, there we are." And I walked off and started eating it. So. Back in your face.
Travel well, and they travel consistently.
Yeah, that's a consistent thing across. No matter, like they throw stuff at the cheerleaders. They throw stuff at like the buses, fans that are randomly sitting in their own stadium. Like it's fine.
At least they stay on brand.
Listen, I got into a confrontation when I was in Dallas against the Eagles. I think it was a couple of days before against the Chargers game for Thanksgiving, and I got into a bit of a confrontation because I was wearing my kilt. Chris is like, oh my God, what? Are you actually from Scotland? I'm like, aye, and what's your problem? Nah, and you know what I mean? So, Eagles fans they just annoy me, man. They really do.
They're the worst. They are the worst.
We've triggered him.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
All right.
For sure.
And
Hashtag
Feel
trigger.
you.
I mean, obviously, then you've travelled as well as we were saying. Is there any, apart from AT&T, any stadium you guys have really particularly enjoyed watching the Cowboys play at?
I went to, okay, so I don't normally
This is a
get
good
the
story.
chance to do this,
Yeah.
but to travel to the games, but I did go to a bachelorette party like on the coast of Carolina. And so I like met two of the girls there and I was like, can I hitch a ride back to Charlotte with you? And then I ended up staying there and I got tickets to the game and I went by myself and I had the best time.
She was like texting us during the game. She's like, I met a friend. And I'm like, what?
We were like taking selfies like with this old man that was sitting next to me. That whole section was Cowboys fans too.
Yeah.
So there's like a whole parking lot when we were walking up that was just the guys that I was with. They were like, oh yeah, that's normally like a completely filled with like Carolina fans. Like, what are you guys doing here? Like you took over an entire like
Wow.
area. It was insane. It was awesome. We traveled great for that game.
Yeah.
And the stadium was awesome too.
Yeah.
So and
It's a
the
cool stadium.
Panthers fans were nice enough.
Yeah. I would
Except
say
I talked
weather.
a lot of trash before, so they were not so kind to me afterwards.
but that's typically me in every game. That
Yeah.
like literally, if Meg's like not on the verge of getting kicked out from a game of like her section, then she's not doing it right.
Yeah.
Okay. Starting to get a feel,
Really
yeah.
careful. I have to be really careful at Cowboys games because usually like I benefit from Dave will throw me a ticket or two every once in a while and like it's friends and family.
Yeah.
So I have to be really careful.
Yeah. I would say for me, I've gone to several. I mean, I went to Wembley. Wembley was incredible. That was such a fun trip. Like I can't, hands down, that was incredible. Trip of a lifetime. I can't believe. I mean, I don't even remember how long ago it was now, but
6 years ago.
6 years.
wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Don't suppose you went to the Fulham game with David, did you?
I
Fulham
did. Yes, we went to the Fulham game and it was hysterical. So it was like me, Todd Archer, and David Hellman, I think Jean-Jacques JJD was there. I'm not sure. And then Shannon Gross was with us too.
That's
My
encouraging.
boy.
You guys, hysterical. I have this video of like I'm like literally like recording this guy who's sitting behind me who's just like losing his mind, like cursing out the team like crazy, and I'm like cackling and I'm having
It's
to like
me.
yeah, it literally it's like half of I'll find the video. It's half of my face and half of Shannon's face, and I'm like he's like tossing out massive F-bombs at the team. He's like, what are you doing? Anyways.
If you think that's bad, you should go to a Celtic and Rangers game in Scotland.
Honestly, I want to.
That's an atmosphere.
Yeah, you'd be lucky to get out with your
incredible.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I just loved going there too because I feel like the city and the fans. I mean, it was a really unique experience because there was all different types of jerseys that were there. It wasn't just the teams that were playing, and so it was more like a celebration of like the NFL in general, which was really cool for me. And the enthusiasm. I mean, you guys were like one of my first tastes, and when we did our radio shows live there was, I mean, everyone, you guys get up at like 3 a.m. to watch these games live. Like y'all are next level, and I have the most respect. And it was just so fun for me. I would say, so that was like my ultimate. And then I went to Seattle, but we lost. But Seattle was a really cool environment too. Like that's just like, it's just a really cool stadium, even though they totally cheat and pump music in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Or New Orleans is amazing too.
I actually, you know what? I have been to a game there. I was sitting up real tall or real high up there. It was supposed to be like Romo versus, not Romo. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Romo versus Breeze, obviously, but it turned out to be both backups. It was Whedon and who was that?
Oh God.
Yeah, he was on all those commercials. It was terrible.
Oh my God, what was his name?
I know, it's
Yes,
right
I
now.
know the game you're on about now.
And he's so funny. It was like a power
Yeah.
commercial or something.
And we were celebrating because we thought we had it, and then they just like came back in the last second and won that game, and I was like,
Voodoo.
You
So I
got
said it. I'll be real.
I think we might be bad luck if we travel though.
Are we? No, we went. I went to the Giants game
Okay.
in New York where Brandon Carr got like owned. I was at that game and we won.
Yeah, the
And
OG.
I was at Washington when we won in the rain.
So we'll just send you to the NFC East games.
Yeah, I'm good for the NFC East games.
Well, just so you know, we've got the UK Cowboys flag. The UK Cowboys flag is actually a really big omen. It's never watched the Cowboys lose.
Really?
Oh,
In 5 years. In 5 years.
I was gonna say, so we need one of those.
That's a
then.
good streak.
Yeah,
We need a flag.
I think was it last year? I think it was last year, and the flag went over. I can't remember which game it was.
Well,
And I can't remember.
I
think it
took
was
it.
speaking of. Yeah, you took it.
I took it to Jacksonville, and obviously I didn't have it for the Texans game. I didn't bring it with me, which I should have.
Yeah, but we told Brian Broadus. That's right. That's who we were telling him. We said, "Oh, don't worry." I said, "The flag is over there. We'll win." And he was like, "Yeah." And it was the Jacks win. We won. It was like, "Yeah, there you go."
You're like, "See, we told you."
Yeah, him and Hellman are not superstitious. However, I am very superstitious. So
I am as
it
well.
sounds like you are too.
No, I really am. We've got a lucky ball. We've got a lucky jerseys. It all goes on over here.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
But going back to the UK Cowboys Bash, when you guys have got to come over for the next one. We'll make it even bigger and brighter than
Yes.
Yes.
We'll go easy.
Yeah.
Back on the
We'll do a live Girls Talking Boys in one of the pubs there. Like we'll do like a UK Girls Talking Boys like crossover. That's what we'll do.
Amazing. That'll be good. And then my last question for you guys: do you both have, or have you got different favorite players on the roster at the moment? It can include this year's draft as well.
Ooh. I know one of your top.
Who's one of my top?
Amari.
Yes, I do love Amari Cooper. My silent killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is my favorite.
I don't know. I've been really high on LVE too, so that was kind of a bummer this year to have him out, but or last year.
I mean, I have a lot.
I'm wearing a Zeke shirt right now.
Yeah, she is. I love Zeke. I think he's so explosive. He's so fun to watch. He's one of my favorites. But also, like, I really love our O-line a lot. I'm a big fan of Joe Looney. Travis is one of, Travis is one of my guys. I think Zach's amazing. Tyron's great too. So
he's the nicest.
They all are. And so if I had to go, I had like my personal opinions of them as people too in there. So I feel like the O-line is probably like my favorite. And Dak's great too.
Yeah.
I love them all. They're all my sons.
Yeah. They're all our favorites. Right, so I thought we'll just get into some Cowboy news that has kicked up this week. Get your take. I know some of these questions I've asked Paul already, and I'll ask Graham as well. Just some of the news that's popped up this week and over the last couple of weeks. The first one that popped up yesterday was you were just talking now at Leighton Vander Esch. It came out this week in an interview that he's healthy and he's ready to go. Have you got a take on what's been said? Have you heard the same thing? Do you think he's going to be ready to go this season and go 100%?
Yeah, I mean, I heard there was like some stingers involved. I think there was something that he had like off-season surgery on. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think there was people that when we were looking at the draft and we kept hearing about the linebacker position being a priority for this team, where we were reading into that and we're like, oh, does that mean? Are you saying that if that's a priority, or if we think it's a priority, that maybe LVE isn't as healthy as we think he is? I think he's doing fine, and I also have full faith in this medical staff and the training team to really get these guys back to where they should be. They're really conservative in that regard, and from my experience. And so I don't feel like they'd be clearing him if he really truly wasn't ready to perform at his highest abilities.
Take Jalen Smith, for example.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and to be able to take a guy like that and bring him full circle to how he's performing now it's nothing short of a medical miracle, honestly, truly. And
you have to have someone that's willing to put in the work too. And I feel like both of those guys are workhorses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Leighton Vander Esch, definitely a blue collar player. That's for sure.
Yes.
And I mean, when you say as well, when you talk about the medical team, like even when you look at last year, what they were doing, with the likes of Amari Cooper, they do anything, nothing short of a miracle.
Right.
But I don't know. Have you got a take on Leighton Van Der Esch's health and him returning, Graham?
I just hope that he wants to become I just hope that he becomes the player that he wants to be, because pre talk for like in the summer from last season was the linebacker core was going to be like a cornerstone of the team, and it just seemed to unravel. Like you say, I saw the interview. Looks like he's good to go. He's obviously been working hard, and I get the impression that he works at his craft every single day, and I have no concerns over his work ethic, and I just really hope that he takes the next kind of step up, because he was a first round pick and we have a lot invested in him, and I figure that if he can step up, it's going to be a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely bolster it. But in terms as well, with the linebacker position, another thing that came out, and I'll get your take if you've got some inside scoop for us as well, is the Aldon Smith meeting Roger Goodell. Do you think that that's going to go through, and what sort of impact he'll have on the team?
I mean, you look at a guy like Aldon Smith, and you can't deny his talent. You could say the same for Randy Gregory. But I think, I don't even know how many years it's been. He hasn't played in a minute. He has proven, though, which Randy Gregory technically is not. And so I think that's really intriguing that you've seen what he is capable of doing. I know that he did meet with the commissioner. I don't know much about it. And quite frankly, I'm not super, super confident that anything's going to happen with either of them. I think it'd be great. I don't think this team would have signed them if they didn't feel like there was a chance that they could bring them back. But I also don't think that they've gone into this season building their defensive line off of the contingency and the fact that they think they're going to be on the field. So I'm not holding my breath. It'd be a great bonus and frosting on the top if we got it, but I think we'll be sufficiently strong without them.
Yeah, I think they built it with the option of like bringing them in to like be the firecrackers, but they already have a solid kind of core going. It would be cool though if they came back.
Definitely.
And like I also think that you wouldn't be hearing talk about looking at guys like Clowney if they really truly believed that he was a lock. So again, but I think the one thing that I have noticed a lot with this defensive, narrative in this offseason with the new coaching staff is we talk about the D line. We talk about these guys they've picked up. You've got the Dontari Poes. You've got, obviously D-Law's great. Tyrone Crawford might hopefully have some juice still left in the tank. We grabbed, some linebackers and some help in the draft, which is great. But I really loved how Coach came out and he said, listen, I'm not going to commit to a 4-3 or a 3-4 because quite frankly, I'm going to try and get the best players in the locker room and then we'll play it from there. And honestly, the nickel is your base scheme and defense anyways these days. So like, It's not a super relevant conversation to be like trying to lock them into a 4-3 or a 3-4. So it's like either way, like you have your base defense and like however else the guys are lined up in the box is just kind of like depending on who's out there and like what they're trying to attack. So,
and you picked up a lot of dynamic guys too that you can kind of slide around a little bit. So it'll be really interesting to see what they end up going with and how they change from week to week.
Yeah.
So then the other bit of news that came out this week is in the NFL. I know there's a little bit of controversy in some states, but they're on about the facilities opening back up. Here in the UK, that's happening in sports here as well. We were speaking off air about that. But what do you make of this? Do you think this is a step in the right direction? Do you think it's too early, or do you think it needs to be done to get things motivated in the league?
I mean,
it's a tricky one.
And any kind of hope I can get that we will have a football season as scheduled, like I'm here for it. I trust them to be making like all the proper steps to make sure all the guys are safe. And I
think it's an interesting.
I want the season to happen. So.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in because there isn't a vaccine left or created yet that's approved or anything in our world, and so I think it's a lot of things that are touch and go, and different local governments are doing different things. And, the league came out a few weeks ago and was like, listen, like, we're governing this kind of as trying to be in fairness with, if your local government is open, then like you kind of are taking that leeway. But the league, as you mentioned, came out this week and said, hey, like, opening your facility starting today or on Tuesday, whenever this airs. So, and I know we're in different time zones, but the what they're coming out and saying is it's 75 people max, but it's not just in the facility itself; it's across all facilities. So that's going to be like, if you have like a merchandising component, if you have a stadium, if you have a practice facility. So it's 75 total, and you're going to see guys that are going to be more of your necessity type guys, like your equipment staff. I think, if you're a weightlifting coach and you've been working with a player in the off season due to injury purposes, then you can continue to be in there. Same thing with the training staff. They've been able to come in and give players treatment if they needed it. So I think you'll kind of continue to see that more and more. They're not allowing coaches back in the building though, which I think is an interesting point to mention as well, is what I was reading in I think it was Rappaport sent out the memo, I believe is the fact. So again, like, it feels like very, very baseline personnel that are going to be in the building. I've kind of been hearing some rumblings that they're going to be taking some extra precautions that they haven't really, told the world yet. That, we'll probably be seeing across the board in a lot of companies that open up. I know my company personally, when I work, again, in sports marketing, when we go back, we'll be wearing masks the first 30 days. We're going to have to take our temperatures every single time we come in the building. We'll have to take a survey that talks about, like, have you been exposed or have you been in contact with someone who's been exposed? So I could see similar things like that potentially being put into play as well. And like Meg said, I mean, I think for me, I think it'd be great if we could get to a place where it's safe enough to have sports again, even without fans. Yeah. Selfishly, I'd be devastated if we didn't have it, but I do prioritize the health and well-being of our country first, in the world. Rather.
Yeah.
So.
Here's me stuck in Scotland waiting for my flight to check.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty much all booked up to go to the Falcons game and Browns game, so. So.
Yeah, I know. It's an interesting position to be in. So I don't know what they're going to do in terms of fans and all of that as well. I can imagine that they probably won't be a part of the situation. I don't know that for sure from an NFL perspective, but I do know that from my work in what I currently do in my 9 to 5 and how my events are panning out. So it's just, it's a new normal for sure.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, talking of strangeness, like, one of the other things that cropped up this week in, response to facilities opening up, they turn around and they're now trialing surgical face masks on the players. I don't know what you guys make of that. I'm not so sure.
I think that any precaution's better than none, but like, I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know whether they're going. I mean, you saw how quickly the NBA got tests for all their players. I wonder if they'll do something similar for the.
Well, and how quickly they got infected too.
Yeah, for the NFL.
I was about to say.
Yeah, and then there's even conversations where some of these commissioners. I feel like it was the NBA. I don't know. And one of the commissioners was like, when we play, we're kind of under the assumption that someone's going to get sick. And we're going to do the best we can, but like, we can't avoid it 100%. So also like with these masks, like, are they going to be surgical grade? Because if they're not, then they're not 100%. I mean, nothing's 100% anyway.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's not just that. You need to think about the player's perspective as well. It's like, those masks are going to like cause lack of oxygen to their bodies. That's going to affect their performance as well. Yeah. Like, especially if you're a player as a wide receiver or even defensive line who requires some amount of oxygen, because the amount of physical, mental toughness and strength they need to use for every rep, every time they go in the field, for every down, it's exhausting.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what training camp's going to be like in Miami wearing a face mask? I mean,
crazy.
That's so.
I don't personally see it happening, but I don't have any inside detail into that.
Yeah. I honestly bet you if they do training camp, it'll be in Frisco for us at least. And I wonder if they could do more of a shield situation than like a mask.
Yeah.
Well, I
I can
actually
see
don't
that
know if they would
working.
stay. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, they wear the glasses type, the visors. So really,
Yeah.
all you're doing is putting it on the face mask. I
But-
suppose. I suppose.
But one thing I will add to the conversation, though, I think that going by what the NFLPA has managed to organise in terms of reduction in training camp and OTAs and all that kind of stuff, it's not like the 19-odd players are going to be coming back to training camp unhealthy and unfit.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So they will be able to Skype with Kellen Moore. They will be able to talk to their training weightlifting coaches and so on. So on. Any player you would imagine has access to a gym, if not in their own house. So I think by the reduction in kind of OTAs and the length of training camp and so on, they kind of understand that the players are going to be basically not football fit, but they're going to be as primed as they can be. There is that step happening right now. I'd imagine that most of the team will be doing their weights and their cardio sessions and so on. So it's not. Yeah. There must be an awful lot happening behind the scenes.
You would think.
And also, like if you're a player that isn't super well established, they do have a stipend of $1,500 that they gave to you if you need to buy equipment. So that's nice as well. Like again, like you said, they're doing things that are helping these guys establish some semblance of routine in this weird new normal.
Yeah. And I mean, another positive in the direction of football coming back is the UFC has started, and you don't get more closer or physical than that.
Yeah. And like you guys mentioned, in Texas, sports are going to be available or allowed here in the coming weeks, but also in California, they're going to be announcing, I think in mid-June is when, or mid-July, one of the two, mid-July, June is when they're going to be allowing that to happen in California is expected. So I think you could see a situation where the team goes out to California and goes to training camp with no fans and no one else facilities except for, the football staff and the players. So definitely something to watch out for and be interested to see how they execute it. But I know they're having to be, my friends that are working on some projects, in pertaining to opening up the team, they're like, we have so many different options we're having to assess and see which one's going to be the best. And so we'll see where they land.
Yeah. I mean, the no fans thing as well with training camp is definitely going to make that bike ride for the Green Bay players look really weird.
Right?
Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
It's just overgrown men riding kids' bikes you're like, okay, this has kind of lost its buzz.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that though, because when I worked for the team, training camp was my responsibility from a marketing perspective. And so you mentioned talking about like, some of the rituals that you see that the teams do, and not being fans involved, but like it's also like going to be impacting the business side of things too, because there's especially a big part of the team, like the Cowboys, and I know every team has this, but there's sponsors and obligations that are involved in executing a training camp that when you can't execute it the way that it's contractually aligned, you have to figure out like make goods, or do you have to lose money in the situation. Obviously force majeure is going to be something that comes into play because this is unprecedented and kind of like an act of God, if you will, but it's a super dynamic situation to even begin to tackle.
Just as well, we've got Jerry Jones, the master marketer in the world. He always finds a way.
He
does
something.
I guess I learned from the best. So there you go.
There you go.
So what I think we'll do next is what I thought I'd do while you guys are here is to do upcoming awards for this season. So this isn't the season just gone, the season coming up. So I'll start with you, Pet, and then we'll work round the screen as it is on you. So what we'll do is I'll start you off with something that could be, you could say quite simple, but if you actually think about it, it could be quite tricky. So I'll start with the wide receiver award. So who's going to be the most productive wide receiver? Who will get that award this year? I'll start. That's what I'm going for. But are you both going for Coop?
I think. Oh man, why do I have to start? Okay, so hear me out. Normally I would say Coop.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go like the whole like Al Harper, Michael Irvin route and say that some people are going to really try and like double up on Coop, and therefore Gallup's going to be opened up a little more. I think that CeeDee's going to go into that slot role initially, and I think he'll be really productive and a huge part of our offense. But I'm going to go ahead and I think Gallup's going to be like a dark horse participant and person that's going to turn out a lot of offensive yards for us this season.
So you would say that he's going to gallop into the end zone.
That is actually the name of my fantasy team, is Gallop to Victory.
Ooh.
Yeah, see? Trying to be all
Creative.
clever.
I'm just not.
I had to think about that one, mind you, for a long time. I was just writing it down and went with Gallop.
I love it.
I've never met a pun I didn't like.
That's true. That's true. What about you? Oh, you said Coop? Okay.
Yeah.
I've got Coop as well, but yeah, I'm on the fence. It's somewhere between Coop and Gallop because based on, I think Coop's going to get the double team on the other side, but which leaves Gallop open, and you have to take care of CeeDee Lamb.
Oh my God, let's go. Bring it. I love it. Sleep on Gallop all you want, baby. I'm here for it.
There we are. So I've got you locked in for Gallop and Coop. Okay, then, Paul, what have you got? Who's going to win the wide receiver award this year?
Michael Gallup, straight off the bat.
High five.
Okay.
Because the reason why I'm saying that is also, I'm pretty sure it's his last year of his contract, so he's got a lot to gain from this.
I love a good contract year performance.
Yeah.
So he will be like that. If you want to keep me, some other team's going to pay me. So, but yeah, Michael Gallup all the way.
All right, and I know you've got a bit of controversy on this one, Graham, because you weren't sure if Coop was going to stay. So who have you got for the wide receiver award this year?
Amari Cooper.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Amari Cooper. I'll tell you why.
I thought you were going to say Blake Jarwin or something like that.
No, that was Shannon Gross last week. But we had Shannon Gross on last week, and he said Blake Jarwin is going to have a 1,200 yard season.
Ooh.
I know.
That's a spicy take.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'll give him 800. I don't know if I'm going to give him 1,200.
Go on, Greg.
I'll tell you why it's Amari Cooper. 25 million. That's why it's Amari Cooper. You do not pay a huge chunk of change if he's not your number one target. I think he's the most polished. He certainly should be our number one receiver in terms of grading them. I get that Michael Gallup is on a contract year, but like they say, there's only one ball. And I just think for them not to feature Cooper after giving him the huge contract and the huge controversy over the off season would be a mistake. So I think in terms of with Dak not quite dialed in to the new Mike McCarthy kind of offense, I feel like he'll stick with Cooper as his preferred option. I get that. I'm just looking at the stats now. I get that Gallup was right behind them, just 80 yards short of becoming the top receiver in terms of yardage, but I don't think anybody touches Cooper in the red zone.
I agree. I mean, I think he's going to be your X. That's not even a question in my mind this season, especially they're going to feature him. I think you bring up a good point though about the fact that it's a new offense and he's going to go. I always would joke about like Jason Witten and Romo. I was like, Witten's the Wooby. I think it was Nick Eatman that said that though. He was like, Witten's is Romo's Wooby. And I feel like with Amari Cooper, like that's his comfort zone. Like he knows how he operates at this point now, and he can depend on him. So. I can see that for sure. Good point.
All right, cool. All right, the next one. I tell you what. No, ladies first every time. I'm a gentleman. So, secret weapon award. Yeah, I'm trying to be. Secret weapon award. Who do you think is going to be this year's secret weapon for the Cowboys? Just basically the guy who just comes on the field and just makes a play. I've got my guy.
Okay.
I need a second.
I'm gonna go with CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee Lamb?
Because I don't think he's a secret weapon though. I just feel like I think that the way they'll utilize him initially will be in the slot, and that's a place that we really haven't had. I mean, we had Cobb, but I just remember like Beasley always, that was just his go-to, and it was so great. So I feel like that's going to be a fun like little tool for us to use this upcoming season. And again, he's a young receiver. They come off explosive off the block in their careers. But I think that they're unlike running backs where they're great on the up front of their career. I think they grow into that role as a wide receiver. And so I feel like, again, like he's not going to start out as your number one receiver, but he's going to do some damage in the roles they put him in. And so I'm excited for that.
Question: does it have to be on the offense side of the ball?
I was going to say that.
No, it doesn't. I'll let you have that. I'll let you because if you've got somebody, I'll let you go with it. Go on.
Okay, so just based off of like kind of going through Dane's book Beast,
The Beast,
and
Beast,
like learning as much as we have. We spoke with an Alabama beat writer about Trevon Diggs.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
He's a guy that's played both sides of the ball before. I can see him being an interception beast this year.
I like that. That's a good answer.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Actually, my one as a sneaky one, I thought Tony Pollard.
That was gonna be. I was expecting you to say that actually.
I do love Tony. Well,
Yeah.
me and Mike can't have the same answer every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll think that we're secretly messaging each other. And
We know you did.
Go on then, Paul. What have you got? Have you got a secret weapon for us?
I think you know who I'm talking about.
Come on then. Who's going to be your secret award? We know because, in case you're wondering, we did like a live draft show during the draft and over the weekend, and he had quite a reaction to this player. Go on then. Who's your secret weapon? I'll get my.
Our third round draft pick, Neville Gallimore.
Oh,
I love Neville.
Interesting. Yes. Tell me more.
Honest to God, when I had him really high up in the draft board, and the fact we got him in the third round, I'm gonna say it, I lost my shit. So I did.
I will send you the video. I'll send you the clip.
Please do.
Honestly, I went absolute mental and couldn't believe it.
And like we was talking about him during the whole draft season, we were like, oh, here's a guy, and we even did like a little highlight clip of him as well. And then all of a sudden he gets drafted, and Paul was quite.
I've been talking about him for months and months, and we ended up getting him.
Yeah. All right.
So just to break it down, why though? It's like I can see him being like that third down defensive tackle, like to replace like some McCoy and Poe, but. The fact is, he's so fresh, and for a big guy, so athletic, he can really disrupt with him, and maybe even bring in Antoine Woods as well, if we're running a full front, or just have Gallimore as the pure nose tackle against the centre, or as a one-tech or whatever. Man, the possibilities are endless with him. He's such a versatile defensive tackle.
He's the very Malik Collins-esque. If you like. All right then, Paul. Paul Graham. You got a secret weapon for us?
Yeah, I'm so glad that Meg asked the question because I have a D player as well.
Go on then.
I'm gonna go with Gerald McCoy.
I was wondering after Neville came out. Yeah.
Yeah, but basically, I'm only gonna top on what Paul said because I think that if we can get our D line started up again, it makes such a difference to the whole back of the defense. I think in terms of offense, who the Cowboys stars are. Our receiver core is supposed to be the best in the league this season. Zeke's a star. The three of them are stars. You could argue that CeeDee Lamb, but he's not really a secret. If you get what he's the paraded first round, wears 88 and all that kind of stuff. So I think if McCoy can get back to his Tampa Bay level, I know he didn't turn it up.
Have you seen the shape of McCoy right now?
Yeah.
He's ready.
Doing the comparison photo of him when he was in Carolina to now, he looks a completely different person. But all the positives, he looks lean.
They don't call him the Canadian bulldozer for nothing.
That's Gallimore.
Are we talking? Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah, I was still on about Gallimore.
No, we're talking about McCoy.
They're both defense. They're both Sooners. I think they're gonna get along great. They've already talked. I think that's gonna be a dynamic duo that we're gonna see.
That'll be fun to watch for sure.
That's it. I like that.
And just to top it, if you go back and watch the Tampa Bay Hard Knocks, he turns up day one training camp in full Japanese dress. That appeals to me.
He came on the live draft show, I believe it was, with Dave Hellman, and Dave was like, "This guy's amazing. Like, he loves him. He's great. He's apparently just amazing."
And Neville has such a good personality too. That'll be perfect.
It's a match made in Sooner heaven. So
and Cowboy heaven.
And Cowboy, and most importantly,
yeah. We're thrilled to have them.
Yes, very keen.
Okay, so here's your next one. This one may take a bit of thinking, so if you want to have a think, I'll give you mine and the reasons why. But the next award, Out of the Blue award. So this is a player who could be a third stringer who's on the 53 or even the practice squad, who this year makes that jump and maybe not necessarily be like the star player, but is making a huge contribution to the team. So I'll let the girls go first. Do you need some time to think about it while I give you mine?
Yeah, you go first.
Go on then. The only reason I'm mentioning this guy is last year I was hoping he'd make the 46 and that he would be playing. And my guy is Oregon's Jalen Jelks. I think he's going to this year just come straight out of the gates and explode. And he's going to be he's making the 46, I'm telling you. And he'll be playing games and doing his part. I can really see it. And you talk about comparison photos, Paul. Like, I've seen photos of Jalen as well, and he's looking shredded, ready to play. Have you girls got anyone you can think of, or do you want me to give you some more time to think about that one?
I'm gonna stick with the O-line again, and I'm kind of debating between if I want Brandon Knight or Connor McGovern, but I feel like there's so much uncertainty on that line right now, and you look at a guy like Tyron Smith, and my God, like, knock on wood when I say this, he wasn't always 100% all the time. And so I think it's super imperative that we're figuring out who's going to be that reliable swing tackle. And so I feel like that's a good opportunity for Brandon Knight to step up. You look in the interior of the line, Connor McGovern, where obviously we drafted Tyler Biadasz. So it's a Looney, Biadasz. I think with the Biadasz pick, you kind of keep Williams on as a guard instead of, maybe looking at potential center action. So I'm kind of looking at those two guys as guys that could play a bigger role than we think coming up this year.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm on about. The Out of the Blue is just this guy who's buried on the depth chart, but will make a contribution. Have you got anyone, Meg, you can think of at the moment?
Well, he's not necessarily out of the blue, but he is now buried on the depth chart. I think Cheeto might have a standout season.
I like that.
He's just been putting in a lot of work. I like what I'm seeing out of him. Yeah. He's been overlooked because he hasn't really stood out. He hasn't made big plays, and I think he's kind of hungry. So I'm going to go with Cheeto.
All right, then. All right, then, Paul, you got a out of the blue player for us, and you can't say Neville Gallimore again.
Shit. Well, just to follow up from Kelsey, I'm going to go with Connor McGovern.
Okay.
But also, I want to give an honourable mention to Isaac Alterton from Mexico.
Yes!
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. That's a good one. That's really good because he will make the team this year, at the very least, in a practice squad capacity. Yeah.
I'm more interested how he develops. Like, he might not necessarily make the actual starting squad, but I'm really interested to see how he develops as a player. I'm like secrets I used to play myself, like here back in Scotland and that. It's always interesting to see how people can actually develop year after year after year, what they've learned. And for Isaac to come from like relatively a small like college, whatever, and that, to get the opportunity to be in one of the biggest NFL teams ever,
right.
It's a great opportunity, and he's got the best coaches around about him, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he develops over the course of the year. So, yeah.
What was the guy's name? I can't remember him for the life of me. He came from London and he played with us. It wasn't Jack.
Oh,
Jack
Effie Obada.
Yes. Yes.
I
And
almost
now
played against. I almost played against him.
Did you?
Yeah. I
Man.
used to play for a team called the East Kilby Pirates, and obviously down in London, he played for the London Warriors.
Yeah.
That in my rookie year, it was his rookie year. Then the year after, he kind of like went to Dallas after due to the coach who has ties. Can't remember his name, but
Yeah, I know you're talking about
but the way how the format worked, we never managed to cross paths.
He was a freak.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. Big boy.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, here's me, a very undersized offensive tackle at the time, going up a guy that was 6 foot. Really went up a guy, and it was 6'4", freak of nature. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna get bull rushed. I'm gonna get pancaked. I'm gonna be on my ass every time. So, no thanks.
I remember watching him. I was like, I looked out the window one time at Valley Ranch, and I saw this guy like running. And I was like, who? I was like, oh my god, who is? I was like, that's F.A. Obata. Like he looked like he's massive. Like he's a rock.
Did you see? Even though he's not playing for the Cowboys anymore, but did you see his match performing game with the Panthers? Was it last season?
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable!
It's such a cool story. It's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. You got one for us as well, then, Greg?
I don't know if this quite qualifies as out of the blue, but I'm going to say haha Clinton Dix.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Just in terms of, like, obviously you girls will know more, but in the UK Cowboys group, we are constantly crying foul that the Cowboys haven't spent good money on safety. They haven't spent any draft capital. They've not.
Shout out Brian.
Jamal Adams.
We tried to seed that. I hope you guys heard that podcast. We tried.
Yeah.
So I just think with Dix being reunited with Mike McCarthy, he wants to have a huge standout year. He's only signed a 1-year deal. Wants to have a huge standout year so he'll get paid again. And we're all praying that he has a huge standout deal. He may not be a Cowboy in 2021, but if he can produce numbers in the 2020 season, I'm all for it. Absolutely.
I think that's a good pick. Because I mean that's a need, like you mentioned, that was one. If anyone can come out of the Cowboys draft and was like, we didn't get a safety, we didn't draft a safety, and we know there were some that people were hoping that could potentially fit that role. I think we heard some talk about maybe looking at like a Reggie Robinson that could play both, but then with HaHa in there, he's a good free safety option for you. Yep. Losing Jeff Heath at strong,
I miss you, goat.
Is gonna hurt, but
Sorry, it's a shame that Brian's not here to talk about it.
Yeah,
Brian's
so
obsessed
Brian,
with him.
that's the Brian I was actually talking about, by the way.
Broadus?
No, I was talking about UK Cowboys Brian.
Yeah. There's six of us that work on this show, and Brian's one of them, and he's a big fan.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Even the goat.
Yeah. But even when he does the show, he still does it now with a Jeff Heath jersey in the background.
Yes.
I love it.
I've not exactly got anything to be proud of. I've got bloody Cole Beasley right behind me.
Hey!
But I do have Randy White.
You do. I love the Beasley one. He went to my college. He went to SMU. So, like, I'm here for it.
Tony up.
Oh, yeah.
I do like Beasley, but I just didn't like the way how he left.
Yeah.
Like, he was very salty saying the Bills' facilities were better. Yeah, you do a picture comparison. It looked like you've got creme de la creme with the Star in Frisco, then you've got a mud track in Buffalo.
A warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, a warehouse, pretty much.
Now, I know we're chewing up the time, so I did have more awards, but I'll just finish on a fun one. So this isn't over and under on this award. It's the Black Cat Award. How many games will be saved by the Cowboys with an animal running on the field?
Wait.
And your over and under on this Black Cat Award is 2.
That's an orange cat.
It's an orange cat. Right?
As a cat lady, I'm thrilled by this conversation.
Don't tell me your name is MetLife.
But you best believe when that happened, I texted my friends who were at the game and I was like, you go find that cat like right now.
Bring him to me.
It's Phil's most famous cat. But the over and under on the Black Cat Award is 2 games.
I'm gonna say under.
Under.
I'm gonna take the under too, but only if I don't find the black cat myself and train him and then release him on my own. You didn't hear that though.
Although there's a good chance for it to be over since there aren't going to be so many people like crowding through stadiums, so it could.
You know, I do have a cat. That wasn't the one. I need to stop showing how many animals I have. I have a cat that I caught at AT&T Stadium. So that's a fact.
So, you said you're in marketing and like with everything going on, I think we've just exposed a business venture that isn't out there at the moment, training animals to disrupt games.
Oh, I like it.
I mean, there's one about to disrupt this podcast again, too. So I guess we're off to a good start.
We're going on down Looneyville here. But go on, Paul. What have you got on the over and under of the Black Cat Award?
You're famous.
Right, so total games and total.
Yeah, I've got 2. So is it going to be the same, less, or more than 2 games?
You're going to laugh at this. 512. Because you didn't specify the question. Someone's going to dress up like a black cat.
And it's going to be Paul.
Amazing.
I've got a feeling Paul's going to be in America with a black cat suit just to prove a point.
I feel like
As long as I'm not in Philadelphia, that place can burn in hell.
Retweet.
Yeah.
So, screen save. Go on then, Gray. What have you got for us?
I'm going to say under because we don't play the Patriots this year and they'll do anything to win.
Yeah.
Wow. Zingers tonight. And they need it now that they don't have Tom. Bill's going to get real. You know what? It's not going to be a cat in New England. It's going to be that dog. It's going to be Bill's dog.
Can I get that dog?
Can I pet that dog?
That's what's going to happen.
Imagine it. Do you know what's going to be really funny is it's going to happen at some point in the future. And we'll all be like, it's happened, guys. It's happened. Who had the overall?
Yep. It's going to be a thing.
I'm here. I love a good rally animal.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
Always here
You've
for
got anything. Even drunk guys on the field. They're just as fun as well.
Yeah,
Like
just a
San
different type of
Francisco
animal.
Rally drunk guy.
Yeah.
They're the best. Like the best one will always be the 49ers game. Have you heard that with the commentator?
No.
He's at
To
the
the
50,
50, to
he's
the
at the
40,
40,
to the 30.
he's at the 30. The man is drunk.
Oh my God.
It's brilliant. I'll send that. We'll
I was
tweet
gonna
that
say, I
out.
need you to send that.
Oh, it's
Please
amazing. If you ever need cheering up, you just watch that video and you instantly smile. But then we've got a question for you. We did send out our usual weekly mailbag. A lot of them we answered ourselves is more about Dak's contract. But we got one from Ken Hughes. He's asking, what do you guys think is going to be the next roster move that you would make?
I would pay this animal.
Hold on a minute. I feel
really by the way,
my animal's left out. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not another one. I know what's coming. A next
I'm gonna-
roster.
I'm going to steal. I mean, obviously we pay Dak, but that's going to happen anyways. I'm going to steal a page out of Scooter Magruder's book. I like what he said yesterday. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Oh my God. I love this.
Aye,
is the
all right,
best
all
book.
right. Fucking hell.
If you guys don't rate and review and give all like 5 stars to this episode, then there's something wrong with you.
I know
Um,
what's going on today.
Was that
so
somebody?
yeah, 5 stars all around. I would go give me an edge rusher, 1 year deal.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because I'm down for that. I think we could use it. I think it'd be great to have Tom Sula have a couple more vets in the room to help train up some of these younger guys, and so that's what I would go with.
Yeah, yeah.
And I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be pass rusher, I think, or safety pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really knows I would make. I don't know. Go on. Sorry, Meg.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just gonna say I just agreed. I think it's so uncertain with Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory. So I feel like just why not go out and get some? That's a need. Why not go out and get the best there is?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Give them
yeah.
a fair deal.
Rather than picking up another team's trash, as they say.
Right.
Paul, or Paul's dog, you got anything to add? Any questions?
What was the question?
No, I'm saying, have you got? The question was, have you got anything to add? Any questions before we close up the show?
No, not at all.
Great,
Joe.
great.
So
you
how do you get 13,000 calories at Red Robin?
No.
Oh.
What was it? 2 burgers. They didn't count the fries because that's like unlimited.
Yeah. What? I don't remember. You have a better memory than I do.
Campfire sauce.
Yeah.
He like made his own burger that had like, it was 2 patties, had like a, excuse you, had a fried egg on it. Oh my god.
I haven't trained him for the manners part yet. We're working on it.
He's like, pet me now.
It was a massive order though. Like imagine like a bunch of O-line guys and they go and get like double burgers, like fries, like milkshakes. I think is part of the mix
Oh yeah,
too.
milkshakes. Mm-hmm.
It was like I was like I need a Zantac and like
Just to listen to this.
I need you to come like someone to come like clear my arteries out afterwards.
I actually do have a question. Is it actually better than Whataburger?
Oh.
Anything.
Yeah.
It's better
Really?
than In-N-Out.
I've never tried In-N-Out, but I heard it's mediocre. To be fair.
I'm gonna let you go first.
Oh, what do I order there?
No, what's your thoughts on Whataburger?
Whataburger's the best.
Yeah.
I'm sad for all the people in California that don't understand what a good burger is.
Yeah,
So-
unfortunately, we're stuck with McDonald's and Burger King. That's pretty much it.
Burger King,
Yeah.
there's nothing
Get
wrong
you
with
a
Burger
patty melt on Texas toast.
I was gonna say I used to mess up a Whopper Junior back in my day, so like
Whopper
Oh, yeah.
Junior.
oh yeah, like I had no standards for
Yeah.
You
know, we were-
chicken fried student. Yeah.
I don't
We-
know. I was in high school. I was like, sure,
Yeah, we were
calories
talking,
didn't matter then.
when we were talking off air about the best things to eat when you've been drunk. Burger King is by far the best.
I
what?
Taco Bell for
Whataburger.
me.
No, it's not.
It is, honestly.
First
No, it's
of all,
not. It's a
Whataburger-
I've been drunk and cried into many a Whopper because it's been so amazing.
Mike, I can name at least 3 things that's better than Burger King: kebabs, Nando's, and
I do like
a full chicken for Tesco's at least.
I'm just saying, once you guys get a Crunchwrap Supreme in your life, you'll never be the same.
Well, okay, but also a taquito from Whataburger or a honey butter chicken biscuit.
Big
I'm
facts.
sorry.
Big facts.
You can't compete with Whataburger.
Literally, it's life changing. I mean, yeah. It's yes.
You're
Are
talking
we
about
gonna go tonight?
are you talking about like the biscuit and gravy thing?
It's honey butter, so it's honey and butter. They just like made their own little thing. It's like a biscuit. It's nice and flaky, and they have like fried chicken in it.
So good.
And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel I should clarify
wanna
the
know?
question. This is from the Girls Talking Boys podcast. You should go and check it out.
Yes, the Red Robin.
Just to
we
clarify.
discussed that at length, yeah, for sure.
Wait, they're
We
just
did.
like wondering why we've disappeared onto a food talk. You
We
know?
like if you want to know about Tyler Biotich, we went into depth with a Wisconsin beat writer, and he told us all about the order. So, yeah,
Tune in.
Yeah, tune in.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, we said we'd not take up too much of your time, and we've racked up a full hour on you guys. But we do hope.
We do.
Yeah, we even had some cats on the show and some dogs, so it's all gone on tonight. We did
Yeah.
warn you, mind you, this is a fairly loose show, so
Yeah.
I think
You're welcome for this content, basically.
But thank you very much for joining us, and we do hope we can have you both on again later
Yes,
on
you
down
can
the year.
show too. We'll do
Definitely.
this again.
Yeah. You give us a call and we're there. But make sure,
Yep,
guys,
definitely.
you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow the girls as well on their show, as Graham already mentioned, Girls Talking Boys. Make sure you tune in, listen, subscribe. And also, thank you very much to our sponsor, Cowboys Experience. Make sure you use the booking code UK Cowboys. But from all of us here, thank you very much, girls, for joining us. And from UK Cowboys, we'll see you all again next week. Thank you.
la 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 la.